Welcome back, guys, to Peak Reacts, and today we are talking about the COVID situation in the NBA. Obviously, new variants are sprouting up, and it's now infiltrated the NBA kind of bubble. NBA players and teams and organizations are starting to see cases rise and players go into protocols. And with Christmas Day games on the slate tomorrow, recording this on Christmas Eve, there are a lot of big-time players that are out. Specifically, KD, Kevin Durant, is now out with COVID protocols. Luka Doncic is out. So, what are your thoughts right now on, these star players being out, especially on a big day like Christmas tomorrow?
Yep, definitely sucks for the league. I mean, the league wants money, and at the end of the day, these big players are going to be what's bringing in most of the money, especially on Christmas Day. Probably the best regular season moneymaker that the NBA has. So it definitely sucks, and it's confusing what COVID protocols mean versus actually having COVID. Do you know if that means you're not feeling good or you're breaking a rule or something?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because a big thing I've seen, a big criticism people have of the NBA, or maybe it's unfair to say criticism, is that the COVID protocols are too strict. Actually, I saw LeBron post on Instagram today. He was talking about it was the Spider-Man meme, and it was COVID, flu, and cold. And I think he's trying to get at when you just don't feel well, they just put you in COVID protocols, and it can be a little strict sometimes. I did see that the NBA is reducing quarantine periods.
Less scientists.
Yeah, so less scientists. Yeah, exactly. I saw that they're reducing quarantine periods, which means maybe players can get out of protocols a little earlier. But personally, as for what you know, do you think protocols are too strict for NBA players?
I think they're a little too strict. I mean, with just how common it is in the league, I think it's too strict.
Yeah, I also think they're too strict. To be honest, we don't know exactly the specific rules, but I think NBA players also think they're strict. But because of the rules and the way they are, a ton of games are being postponed right now. Obviously, We're Blazer fans. Blazers-Nets get postponed. That was supposed to be last night.
Want to watch that one.
Did want to watch that one. The Raptors have been really struggling with players out. The Bulls have been struggling with players out. The Nets, obviously. And then even the Blazers, we saw Dennis Smith Jr. get in COVID protocols. And I believe it was Trenton Watford is also in COVID protocols.
Yep.
I'll have to fact check that. But so, yeah, a lot of teams are getting postponed right now. A lot of COVID cases in the league. Now you have a guy like Kyrie, who isn't exactly vaccinated. He's now eligible to play road games for the Nets. Obviously, this was the Nets organization's decision. What are your thoughts on the whole Kyrie thing? Just in general?
It's hard because does it go against his ways, his religion? I don't really know. How you don't know when to draw that line, I guess you could say. He's not vaccinated. That's correct, right?
He's not
vaccinated.
But
he's allowed to play. Probably one of the only players allowed that.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, is it just because he's a superstar that he's allowed to play again? Would the same rules apply if it was, not a good player?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I think it's good for the NBA to allow him to play just because of how big of a figure he is.
Yeah, from a pure business standpoint, it's you want your star players to play. But obviously, when you let a player as polarizing as Kyrie play, you're going to obviously get backlash. And the NBA has definitely gotten backlash from a lot of people on Twitter. So also, what we need to talk about is the booster. So obviously, a lot of NBA players getting the booster shot now. The new variants, it's supposedly supposed to help NBA players not get sick. Unfortunately, it's not. You actually kind of have a personal experience with the booster or about to have it. What are your thoughts on the booster shot? Should NBA players get it?
Yeah, so pretty much... at least I don't know if it's all California colleges, but you cannot even go back at all if you don't get the booster vaccine. Obviously, more places are more strict about it than the other ones. From my understanding, the booster is just just another vaccine that goes along with a variant. So I don't know who it was approved by, what government makes that decision that allows it, whatever, to be safe and the general public can take it. COVID's a hard topic. I mean, the more people that get the shot are the more lives going to be saved, probably.
Yes.
But you don't know when to draw that line on how much you can just restrict people from doing their normal life.
Yeah, that's true. And I will say one pro to getting the booster is we have this just statistics of COVID cases in the U.S.
Yeah.
We're approaching the all-time high if you've taken the Omicron variant.
Yeah, obviously the winter is the worst
Mm-hmm.
season for flu, COVID stuff. Like during the summer, like for perspective, we have a little graph here. So last
January,
winter,
yeah.
about 200K cases a day. In the summer, it got too low as 15 a K. This is US, by the way. And now it's back up to 250K yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's almost at an all-time high with COVID cases during the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's just hard to know when to draw the line, what needs to be required, what's not. 'Cause there's so many different arguments and so many angles you can look into it.
Yeah. I did not actually know that that was probably going to be the all-time high yesterday. I did not know that. It does make sense though with the amount of just pro players. We saw NHL actually close their season until Christmas. They're done. The NBA, Adam Silver has said they will continue to go along with the season. The season will not be put on pause. It will not stop. It will not be postponed. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is a good idea to just keep the season going at this point? Do you think there should be like a 2-week stoppage like last year? I vote to keep it going, but also I don't have all the information needed because I'm just speaking from a fan perspective. I obviously just want to keep seeing basketball. But what do you think the NBA should do? Or what's your opinion?
I vote to keep it going. Because the thing is, NBA is they're people that travel. It's a small group. It's like 300 people out of the whole USA. But again, it's like if the NBA is not playing, a normal person might think differently to stay more safe. It's just it teaches people to think a certain way if a whole league does it. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard. I think they should keep the season going at the moment. But if it gets too much worse, like more players aren't being allowed to play, I think they should do something. And didn't Toronto actually have 50% capacity now? Did I hear that? With COVID?
Yeah, I think Toronto is. I think for fan capacity, for the stadium capacity, they're decreasing back to only half full. To be fair, it's kind of a joke here, but a lot of teams only get half full anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But that is a rule going back for Toronto. But yeah, the COVID situation, it's very fluid. We're not sure. It honestly goes day by day. NBA has a lot of decisions to make. Do you keep the season going? Pros for that is you keep playing basketball. You kind of just fight through it. Fans obviously get to keep watching basketball. Cons are the star players are sitting out, and there's a lot of teams getting screwed by COVID. Look at the Bulls. The Bulls have had to play with – even look at the Nets. The Nets are a better team than what their record shows, but they're playing with G Leaguers. Yeah. So do you want teams to play with G Leaguers, or do you want to put the season on pause to get everyone healthy? But that doesn't guarantee you health if you put the season on pause because COVID is just – it's all over the place at this point. That's all we got for today. That's kind of the COVID breakdown. Those are our thoughts on COVID and the whole virus and the new variants with the NBA season. Again, very fluid situation. We're not sure, but the NBA does have a lot of questions. They have more questions than answers at this point. So we'll see what they do, and we will see y'all later.